Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Lunga Dlamini. So today I'll be talking to Nomali Zondi. She is the author of The Rusty Tin Hotel. It is a book that could be used in schools because it connects our history. It connects our history, our South African history, to the present day, and explores the predicament of young women. Today, with culture and tradition, it examines the roots of racism and tribalism in South Africa's people, and ultimately exposes in a glaring manner gender-based violence and shows how the shadow of apartheid darkens all our perceptions. And so I'm really excited to speak to Nomali Zondi, the author of The Rusty Tin Hotel. Here we go. Okay, let me just wait for her to connect.
Yes, hello.
How are you?
I am very good. How are you?
I am excited to be doing this. I'm really, really excited. The Rusty Tin Hotel.
Yes. That's mine. That's my baby.
Congratulations. So how are you? How are you? Were you quarantined together with your son when COVID came in?
Yes. I'm fine. Yes, I was with my son. So we got to do a lot of bonding and a lot of getting to know each other. Yeah. And a lot of
Yep.
irritating each other as well.
How old is he now?
He's going to be 8 in July, so he's a big boy now.
All right. So my first question is, what inspired you to be a writer, and in particular, the Rusty Tin Hotel?
Like I started doing research and tracing everything back on history to understand why we are here as women, as Black women, especially women in informal settlements and townships. Why are we still here? So that's what inspired it. It was just women and the struggle of women and the beauty of women that I just wanted to like expose to the world.
So, the book is really rooted in our history. And when I was reading the book, I found myself, singing along the tunes of Engome, Engome, Impe Yasenome. Okay. But I also started to reflect on the fact that, the war was brutal on our people when, the Dutch and the British, invaded the land. Why is our history important?
History is very important because I feel like if you don't know where you're from, you won't know where you're going. So I think in order for you to know where to go, you need to go back and retrace your roots. So like understand yourself even better, you know. And that's what I tried to do with the book. I went back in history to sort of like find out where the problem started, how the land was taken from us and how brutal it was taken from us, which I think it still has a trickling effect on us, negative effect on us even today.
Yep.
Those ancestors that lost their lives in those times, uh, they still very much here with us. We haven't gotten, oh, I think we haven't grieved for all those times when
Yeah.
from the time that our land was taken from us, and because we don't understand that our people fought, and we don't understand how the land was taken from us, I think we kind of like lose our path. So that's why I believe that history is very important, so that you'll know where to go and you'll know how to maneuver around life itself. You have to understand where you're coming from and understand the suffering that your people went through for you to get to where you are at, so that you kind of like appreciate life even further.
Yep. So would you say that you resonate with, the idea of land expropriation?
I do.
Yep.
I do. I do. I think even if Freedom Charter, that's what Mandela and co were fighting for.
Yep.
They fought for everybody to enjoy the land equally. So I believe that the land is ours. The land is for everyone who lives in it. And it's not fair that you still find people in Bambai in a very crowded space, in very bad conditions today, yet you have people owning acres of land, empty land sometimes. You know, I think it's not fair. And I think it's not fair that people of origin are the ones that are suffering, that have no land, but they were born here. Like, if you don't have land in your own country, where are you expected to go? Because it's your motherland. So I do believe in that. I believe that it should be done, and I think it should be done the correct way. And I think, because the other thing that I worry about when we talk about that is that the land might end up not even going to the people that we see here. It's going to go to your corrupt officials. So I do believe that land should be expropriated, and it should be given to the right people.
So, what do you think? What comes to your mind when you see people invading the land and building their homes, to find that maybe the next day they are removed from their homes?
Lunga, I'm so glad that you asked that question, because that has been very much on the news, where you found people being homes being destroyed and thrown out of the country, out of the land, because they didn't own the land. It was owned by someone else, a bigger person, and it's just empty. So I feel saddened by that. I feel very saddened by that, because I feel that our people, because we make a mistake of seeing land as just this, um as business, for sort of like business. But I believe land is very important. Land is important for your spiritual purposes. Land is important.
It's also important for a sense of belonging. For me, it's a sense
Exactly.
of belonging.
That's where I'm going. Your spiritual purpose, your sense of belonging, your sense of being secured, security. That you are in a safe space, and you are in your own land, and you are able to connect to your space, because it's yours. You own it. It's your land. So for me, those scenes where I see people being thrown out, they really hurt me deeply, because first of all, nobody in South Africa should be struggling to have a place to call home. And even if you do find a place to call home, I think it should be a safe space. I think it should be a space where you're able to breathe. Because when I look at conditions in the informal settlements, I feel like people can't breathe there. People can't think. It's overcrowded. It's I feel claustrophobic for them when I see those kind of situations. It's
Yeah.
crowded. It's like, I feel like we can't breathe. Like, oh, Floyd said, he can't breathe. We can't breathe. Not that, not because literally there's someone choking our necks, but because of the situations. If you're stuck in a shack, that's so tiny, and your neighbor is right here at you at the back, and it's just busy. How do you expect that person to breathe? How do you expect that person to be normal? So the land, I'm very passionate talking about land, because I feel what's going on in South Africa is totally unfair. You can't have people owning so much land where you have people suffering. Where you have people being in a space. Have you seen the filth there? Have you seen the conditions that are there? Are just not livable conditions. So I believe that it also plays with our psyche. It also plays with our mental health as well. So we talk about South Africa having the highest mental health cases. We don't look at where that's coming from. You can't expect people in those conditions to have a healthy mental state, because that's just not right. It's just against humanity. So it's crime against humanity to have
Wow.
people in those spaces.
I love that you touched on the subject of spirituality. You seem to paint You seem to be quite critical of some of the traditions and practices of our people. What do you really think of our culture? I'm thinking in particular of the different roles for men and women and the habit of going to the Isangoma for guidance and solving our problems that we encounter in life.
First of all, I don't just talk about the negativity of culture, because culture, for me, culture is beautiful. Culture is who you are. It makes you the person that you are. Like we were talking about sense of belonging earlier when you were talking about land. That what culture also gives a
Yep.
person. It gives a person a sense of belonging as well. But culture, with everything, there's a positive and a negative for everything. So what I thought to myself, that we focus a lot on trying to say this is what culture says, but we don't want to focus on the negatives that those statements come with. For instance, you find that women within the culture, they always have to play those subordinate roles. A woman can't say this to a man. A woman can't do this because she's a woman. There's a place where I talk about in where I write about Tobegile when she goes back to the village, and it's a big no, because she comes back wearing trousers. Something that they've always
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
made in the country. And it's not just the men that are like, why is she doing that? It's also the women that are like,
It's the
people,
women.
this
It's the
girl,
women. Yes,
you
yes,
know
yes.
so that's why I'm saying, well, see, it's time now that we kind of like talk about the negatives of culture. Yes, it's beautiful, but I'm sure it can also evolve, because if you look at culture, culture has always evolved. It has always evolved. It has always tried to accommodate for that particular times. It has never, it's never stopped. Culture, it has never just come to a stop and say, it's okay, this is culture, and it's going to be cast in stone that this is how it's going to go. It's always gone with the times. So I feel like we can also do that with culture. We can still do that with culture now. We can make it move with the times to accommodate your modern woman now. So
Yeah.
because culture, what we're doing now is like we're holding on to things that I feel, some of the things that I feel that we no longer need. you know because if you look at why, if you go back in the day and you look at the way that they were set, you can see what it was to accommodate. So because men had to go out and do farming and do all those things, because that was what it was going according to the times. So now women are also independent. Women go to work, so you can't expect a woman to be going to work and coming back at home and also now having to do these things because it's a woman's job in the household. I think it just has to evolve, and I think once it evolves, it will bring about respect, onto women, because these roles, that they've created using culture are not fair on women, and I think sometimes they are the reason that we are here. The lack of respect for women, because people will say, "Phela mina ngiyindoda," you know if you stand up to a guy like, ungakhulumi kanjalo nami because mina ngiyindoda, you know so it's just those things that I feel like we just need to sort of like look at our roles now, and kind of like change them a bit to accommodate the now, because yeah, some of them are just outdated. We don't need them in today's world, I think.
I thought that I wonder if it was intentional for you because I felt that, you, the book had a feminist, a radical feminist approach in that, gender is the primary determinant of differences within patriarchal society. And in particular, when Ugogo comes and, takes care of the children and starts, indoctrinating them in terms of, the gender roles within a home. Was that intentional for you to be, a feminist in this book?
I wouldn't say that. First of all, when I don't like tags because I feel like once you start tagging yourself, then you are there are some people that you are leaving out of your space, which I feel is not fair because so I usually call myself the humanist.
A
So I'm not a feminist.
humanist. I want to be a
Humanist.
humanist. I want to be a humanist too.
So yeah, because what I've done there, if you taking Gogo's case, um, I didn't write it from a feminist point of view. I wrote it from a humanist point of view, where I've written about how Gogo was using culture to oppress Unokolo. If you look at it, Gogo came there and kind of like drilled it in Nokolo's head that the brother was the bigger person because he is the man, even though Nokolo is younger than the brother, but Nokolo still has to respect the brother because he's a man. And even when we talk about roles there, because they are no longer now in the farms, they're no longer in the village, they're in Enanda. So the gogo always says to Nokolo, well, you can't expect your brother to wash dishes. He's a man. We're not in a
Because
village.
not
Had he
we are
been,
not in the farm where he can
yes,
be looking after
yes,
the cattle.
yes, she says that. Had we been in the village, your brother would be out looking after the kettle, and then you'd be doing all these things at home. And then we come back again to Gogo, where the physical abuse starts. Gogo gives the brother of Nokolo permission ukuthi umshaye if she does not listen to you. So it's Gogo that's saying that to the brother. So imagine how that guy, when he grows up, how he's going to see women, because he grew up being told at home, would see if she's not listening to you, beat her up so that she listens to you. And it's not a man that's telling him to do that; it's a woman, his own grandmother.
It's a woman. It's a woman.
So yes. So for me, I didn't. When I was writing this book, I was very conscious of tagging myself or putting myself in a box because I wanted to tell a human story. Because even all those men in the book that I've written about in Ned Light, they also have their own stories. That if you really look deep into them, you will see that they also need some learning themselves. It's not that, because I don't believe that there's a bad person in this world. I believe that we just have to teach each other and we just have to make each other understand, men or women. We need to be honest about, you need to tell me as a man that, normally when you do this to me, I don't like it. It hurts. And I need to understand that and try to change it. And I also need to be allowed to do that as a woman, to say, Lunga, when you say this, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. And you need to give me the ear and you listen to me and you apologize and we find a way forward. So I believe that's what we should be doing as the nation, as the world. We should stop with the tags and start talking as brothers and sisters. Ukuthi, no, let's just now listen to me, I listen to you, we move forward, we build a better society for our future. I have a son. So when I was writing that book, I wanted my son to see how he, as a man, should treat women. You know, I wanted him to see his mother in every woman because women are very important. So as a man, because
I loved how you building. I love how you categorized, the men in the book. There is the embodiment of, men are trash, and there is also the hope that, men can be good in our society. Was that intentional for you?
Sticking to the fact that I need to open the wounds for everyone to see. So that was where it was coming from. It was just me opening up the wounds and for people to see the blood coming out, men and women. It was just me just opening up everything and hoping, fingers crossed. When I was writing the book, I had my fingers crossed that we hold each other's hands and we create, because I told you I'm a humanist and I'd love to see the human race actually working, actually being the beautiful creatures that they are, you know. Um, so when I was writing it, I wasn't trying to say anybody's trash. I was just saying, guys, look at how history has fucked us up, because that's what's happening to us as Black people. We're just fucked up by history, and now we just need to sort of like, no, man, we need to break free. So it was just, excuse my language.
No, 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 it's fine. When I was reading the book and it was so explicit in some of the scenes and stories in the book, I was like, will I be able to look at Unomali the same again?
Yeah.
Why did you decide
So
that, you were going to call a spade a spade?
it's time. It's time. Uh, the time for faking things and pretending we're okay, pretending we're this beautiful rainbow nation, pretending we are this beautiful people who understand, pretending we are men that are now.
In reading the book, I got a sense that, I hope that, one day my sister will be able to read the book, my younger sister, and that, she would draw some inspiration from, the characters, Utobegi, Amanda. I got a sense that, maybe Utandegile had something to do with the death of Umendi.
Uh, oh, well, I'm not gonna reveal that. You're gonna have to buy
Yes,
the
of
book.
course, of course. God, I was heartbroken, brah. Like I was like, I
Yeah.
was
So
like,
it's
hey, hey. But people will, when people buy the book, they're gonna draw their own conclusion.
yeah. I think that's just something that you should try and figure out yourself. I'm not gonna reveal that. Um, but even with that, when you talk about that scenario, because people say, like you're saying, which you're so heartbroken that she died. So a lot of people that have read it are always asking me, but why did she have to die? So for me, I'm like, okay, a bit of me is because I was a fan of Shakespeare back in the day. Probably that's why I have that tragedy in mind. There's always have to be tragedy in the end. Somebody must die. In Shakespeare, that's Shakespeare's way of writing. Somebody dies. But anyway, the real reason was that I needed to sort of like stick true to the story of like, yes, life is beautiful, but life is also effed up, if I can put it that way. It's beautiful when you're in it, but shit also happens, and we need to be gentle with each other, and we need to go easy on each other, and we need to understand the fragility of the human being, you know. So yeah.
I love that you touch on Shakespeare. Who inspires you on?
Well, yeah, I've already revealed the Shakespeare bit, but Chinua Achebe, for me, it does it for me. I like that guy very much. I believe that guy speaks to me when he writes. And then also Uchimamanda Adichie as well. I think she's doing a fantastic job with telling the
We
story.
should all be feminists.
Yeah, I think she's a great writer as well. So yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from her writings, but my first and foremost was Shakespeare, and then Chinua Achebe.
All
Yeah.
right. I have another question. You certainly do not paint a glowing picture of our nurses in public hospitals.
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
some, I've witnessed and seen some of those nurses that you painted in the book, and the apathy for me was like, how you're getting paid though. So was that intentional for you to give us a sense of what public hospitals in South Africa are like?
So I was saying that the reason that I even mentioned it was because I just wanted to talk about that the how sometimes being in a public hospital can also crush a person's dignity, because those people were meant to be healing people, but when you go in there, they just crush people, you know. So you go there to be healed for something else, and you come out suffering from another thing. That's probably deeper than the one that got you into hospital in the first place, which is emotional. So that's why I wrote about it,
Wow.
and it was still me talking about democratic South Africa, and the violation of rights that we experience every day.
I love that. I love that. So, whenever I read a book, I really want to have a conversation with, someone else. And, I think it's apparent now that, it's difficult to have these conversations with people from, other races because they feel that, they're going to say something that will, trigger something else, or that, maybe their words are not going to match their hearts. What do you say to what do you say to that? Like, how do we have conversations with other races about racism?
Well, Lunga, we just have it, whether they like it or not. It's time that we sit down and we talk about it, and teach each other something. You know, for example, but I want to say this, Wenalung. I want to say to you, a friend of mine always says this when you talk about racism. She always says, "Uguti, just because I say you're racist does not mean I'm saying that you're a bad person. I'm just saying to you that you're doing something that is racist to me." So people are very quick to want to defend themselves when you talk about racism, rather than listening to what you're saying. Because I'm not saying to you that you're a bad person. I'm just saying, "Uti Aibo, what you're saying is hurting me because of our history." And probably if you would listen to me and start taking the humanist roots that I always talk about, I think we can go very far with life and changing. Because I think Uguti, racism is also systematic, so we can always fix systematic errors. We can always fix them by sitting down and having those conversations. Uguti, stop, stop. I'm not a myth, because there are a lot of myths going around. Because black people are like this, white people are like that. But if we could sit down and really say, it's okay, ngibukeke mina nginje, ngoba nguwumZulu, ngoba nguwumuntu, I'm like this. You'd find that we have so much in common as human beings. You just find, now you also do that. How, Gandhi?
And then that human connection.
Exactly.
All right, I think I've run out of questions. Nomali, the book was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I hope that everyone that sees this when we post it on our newsletter here at the University of Johannesburg, that whoever sees this interview goes out and get themselves a copy of The Rusty Tin Hotel. I enjoyed the book and I'm going to read it again and again. So are there any plans for, the future? Like, do you want to write something? Do you want to write more in the future?
Well, I'm currently working on short stories. I have a working title for it. It's called The Journey of a Homeless Writer. So it's just following the life of this woman who's still trying to find herself in the world, who's still trying to figure her mental health status.
Yep.
So you just go into her world, meet the people that she meets, the places that she goes to, the conversations that she has with people. It's just I think like people really need to look out for it when it's done. Because I think it's also another way of me still trying to make sense of this beautiful thing or creature, which is a human being. And yeah, so I'm currently working on that, and I think there'll be more and more because I just want to write before I go and leave something for people to read when I'm gone.
Yeah, and your son to read something, to leave something for your son to read.
Yes. I see my writings as that.
As a legacy.
Yes.
Wow. Well, you've inspired me, and maybe I, in the future, will maybe become an author as well because of you. I really.
Thank you so much.
So where can people go to find the book?
Well, right now I take pre-orders and I deliver to you, and it's also available on Amazon for those who are very far away. Yes. I think you got yours via Amazon.
Yes, Amazon. Yes, I think you are.
Yes.
I think you have written a bestseller, and given our people a lot to think about. And I cannot wait until you present this with another book and more to follow. Thank you so much for your time, Nomali.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It really humbles me that somebody says that, because when I was writing the book, it was that I just wanted to give someone something to think about.
Yo, I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.